Today I'm gonna take you on a trip to Italy. We're gonna make a classic Bolognese sauce, and I'm gonna show you guys a few different ways to utilize that. We're gonna do a spaghetti Bolognese. Also, we're gonna do a lasagna Bolognese. Two different ways to utilize it, two different crowds, please. Welcome back to the Chef2k's kitchen. Today, we're gonna teach you guys how to make fresh homemade pasta. Also, we're gonna do a classic Bolognese sauce, one of my favorites. Then we're gonna take that, turn it into two different dishes. Stay with us. Okay, for the Bolognese sauce, we are gonna grind up our own meat. It's really easy if you have a KitchenAid processor, buy the grinder. Honestly, it'll change your world. You can make your burgers the way you want. Everything you do, you ground that meat up yourself. It's just much better. So typically in a Bolognese sauce, they're gonna use ground veal. I like ground veal, but ground veal doesn't really have that firm of a texture. It gets really soft. So I like to mix my meat up here. So this is the combo that I use. We've got 2 veal chops. We're gonna grind these up. We've got 2 bison strip steaks here, and then we've got 2 rib steaks here that have been dry aged. That dry aged ribeye in there is gonna take that flavor to the next level. The bison's gonna add a lot of texture to it, and there's not a lot of fat here, but we're gonna get our fat from the ribeye. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get that Bolognese sauce going. The Bolognese sauce is gonna go all day, so that gives us a chance to make our pasta, get everything else done at a slow, nice pace. This is an all-day meal. First thing we're gonna do is fire up that cast iron pan. We're gonna give that about 5 minutes. Okay, first thing, we're gonna add the pancetta. I like my pancetta crispy. It adds a nice texture to the sauce, so I like to cook it till it's crispy. We're gonna get that in there. We're gonna get it rendered down, crisp it up. Then once it's done, we're gonna remove it from the pan. And very important, this is one of my tricks I like to do, is I get that crispy pancetta out, get in a paper towel, set it aside. Then we're gonna throw our mirepoix right into that pancetta fat. Adds a beautiful flavor to this sauce. Okay, we've got our pancetta on. That's getting crispy. That's gonna take a little bit. In the meantime, we're gonna start our mirepoix. If you don't know what a mirepoix is, that's a basic cooking terminology for carrots, celery, and onions. We're gonna prepare a proper mirepoix here to throw in. We're gonna cook that right in that pancetta fat. Okay, we got the pancetta out of the pan. Look how crispy it is. It's a perfect texture. Now you'll see all that. That's all the fat that rendered out of our pancetta while we were crisping it. You can see there's little crispies and stuff on the side. That's perfect. We're gonna take this. We are gonna put our mirepoix in there in a few minutes, and we're gonna saute that mirepoix in that fat. It's amazing. Okay guys, celery, same as the carrots. Onions, same as the celery, same as the carrots. They're mirepoix. We wanna try and get them around the same size. Okay, we got our onions done. I'm crying me a river, and we're gonna get this started. All right, here we go. We've got our mirepoix done. We've got our pancetta grease in there. It's hot. Let's get this in there and start sweating it down. Boom, there we go. All right, we got our mirepoix sweating. I like to add my seasonings, my fresh herbs, let that mirepoix soak up all that flavor. So we're just gonna chop down some fresh basil and some fresh oregano. Okay, we'll just take that oregano, pull back on the stems, boom. Ooh, that oregano is fresh. This is right out of the garden. We hydroponically grow this stuff. Adds such a beautiful fragrance to the sauce. I love it. We're gonna use some dry herbs as well. We're just gonna wrap this up together, roll it up nice and tight, chiffonade it, and then from chiffonade state, we will dice it down into small dice. Okay, we've got our fresh herbs in with that mirepoix. Now we're gonna add some dry. We're gonna use some dry oregano. We've got fresh oregano in there, probably a good tablespoon. Activate that in your palm. There you go. We're gonna take about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Herbs, dry herbs again, beautiful. Secret ingredient, not secret ingredient, but classical ingredient when making Bolognese sauce is the nutmeg. Do not overpower your sauce with the nutmeg, okay? It needs to be added at the right amount. You add too much and it just becomes overpowering. 1.5 teaspoons, guys, that's it. I'll be able to tell when I mix this up just by how it smells. We're gonna add some fresh ground pepper. Not a lot, but a pinch. Salt always helps. 1.5 teaspoons. Okay, perfect. Now we've got all that in there. It smells amazing. Smell that. All right, next step is we gotta get this meat ready for the grinders. Take these veal chops first. I like to get the bones off, leave a little meat on there. I roast these up for my dog. She absolutely loves them. Okay, we cut this up into cubes. Cut all the meat up into chunks like that. All right, this is our meat. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna make sure it's all mixed together. Like I said, we don't wanna have to sit and mix it afterwards. We wanna just throw it in a raw grind. So let's make it all mixed up before it hits the grinder. Okay, here we go. And then meat. The smell that's coming off of this ground meat is amazing. Almost has a sweet smell to it. Comes from the veal. I realize there's obviously a few more steps in doing your ground beef this way, but I'm telling you guys, it's amazing and it's worth it. And you can control the cuts that are going into your ground beef because you know what they are. Okay, next step. Our mirepoix is done. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna remove that from the pot because the next step is we're gonna cook that meat. If there's a few pieces left in it, it's not gonna hurt it, guys. Don't worry about it. Get the majority of it out though. We can leave that as so. We're gonna turn the heat up on that. Okay, now we're gonna add our beef right in there. As you can see, it stays in its grind, so it's not like a big lump and you gotta sit there and mash it all to pieces. It's gonna break up. It already is broken up, so. Let's get that in there. I don't add any oil in there. The fat that renders out of everything that we've put in there will be enough oil and moisture to cook this. Hey guys, the meat is ready. Now we're gonna add our mirepoix back in. Here we go, spat out all that delicious flavor. We don't wanna waste any of it. Okay, we've got that in, we'll mix this up. Our next step is our tomato paste, very important part. Okay, we're gonna mix this tomato paste in. Make sure that heat's high. We wanna brown this tomato paste. You're gonna start to smell it, it'll caramelize. Once you feel it and you smell that caramelized to the bottom of the pan, then we're gonna hit it with our prosecco. I know that prosecco is not a traditional deglazing tool in a Bolognese sauce, but I did it one day because it's all I had. And I'll tell you guys, I've never done it another way since. You hear that sizzle? That's what we're looking for. We are literally trying to caramelize the tomato paste. You will smell it. Once it starts to caramelize, it'll start sticking to the pan. We don't want it to burn to the pan. We want it to caramelize to the pan. Then we're gonna deglaze it with our prosecco. This is all layers of flavor, you guys. All right, we'll get our bottle of prosecco ready. Never pop it until you're ready to put it in. You never know what it's gonna do. But if you pop it and it's already starting to foam everywhere, just get it in the sauce. I can feel it. It's starting to stick. Starting to get that caramelization of that tomato paste. All right, next step. We've got that tomato paste caramelized to the pan. We're ready to go. Let's pop a bottle. Right in there. Personally, I'm doing a big batch. I'm using the whole bottle. Okay, right after you get that in there, get in there with your spoon. Start scraping on bottom. You want to get all that flavor off. You can hear that caramelized flavor there. I'm scraping it off. Now you can hear the pan is clean. There's no more scrapes on the bottom. The prosecco has done its job. Now we're just gonna keep cooking that prosecco off until we get that sweet smell. Whenever cooking with alcohol, the most important part is to cook the alcohol out of it. We were looking for the sugars and the natural flavors that are in it. But we don't want that bitterness from the alcohol. You can actually smell it as it's cooking off. You'll know once that smell gets to where it needs to be, you'll know it's nice, it's sweet, it's not burning your nose. Doesn't smell like alcohol anymore. Okay guys, we can smell that alcohol is pretty much cooked off. We're gonna give it another second. But the next thing that goes in after that is our whole peeled tomatoes. I always use these Regas, the DOP. These are the best tomatoes you can get for this. And where I am anyway, I usually get them from the Italian market. Sometimes the grocery store will have it, but the Italian market always has it. Crack them open. Just get them in a bowl. We're gonna hand crush these. Turn that heat down. We are where we need to be. You can see it's already thickened. It's looking really nice. It is time to put her together. Okay, get right in there with your hands. Tip the bowl a bit. Don't get your hands out. If you get your hands out and you squish like this, she's gonna squirt right across the kitchen, I promise you that. Make sure you've got your hands submerged when you squish them so you don't have to wear it. We want chunks, nice, beautiful chunks of that tomato in there. So that's why we're only using our hands to hand crush these. And that's it. Straight in. All right, let's get this all stirred up together, nice and thick. As I said before, this dish is all about reduction, concentrating the flavors. That way we don't have to add a ton of salt to this. We're just gonna bring out all the flavors and get that water out of the party. All right, we're ready to get this all together. We're gonna take that beautiful crispy pancetta. She's going back in. Get all that in there. We've got our tomatoes and stuff in. Now we've got our beautiful homemade beef stock. Look how beautiful and rich that is, guys. I make my own beef stock. Obviously, you can buy it at the market if you want to make this go easier. But a lot of the flavor that I get into my sauce comes from that beautiful beef stock. So we're gonna dump this in periodically throughout the cook. And I know the popularity with beef broth, bone broth, it's going through the roof, and it is. It's amazing for you guys. If you do it properly, you're using the proper bones, the proper amount of bones, you're gonna get a lot of collagen and a lot of things that your body really needs. It's a great way to start your day. So next episode, we'll tap into how I make my beef broth, and we'll get you guys started. All right, this is like a soup consistency now. But that's not what we want out of this. So we're gonna get to reducing, and stay tuned and watch this bad boy come together. Okay, we brought the heat back up. We wanna bring this to a boil. Once this gets to a boil, we'll drop the heat a bit, but we wanna keep this rolling. We wanna keep it moving. That's how we get our reduction. Okay guys, now we're gonna get into making some homemade pasta. 2 cups of flour. We've got 3 eggs. Now we're gonna add some olive oil, a ½ teaspoon of salt. Put it at 2 and just let it do its thing. I just go in, start to try and form it a little bit. Now we're gonna knead it. So kneading it, you're just gonna set it on its side, press your palm down, and push hard. We're gonna continue to do this for about 10 minutes. That's what you're looking for. You need that to be nice and smooth, nice and shiny. All right, here we go. We're gonna just take our cellophane, get it over that, make sure it's tight. We don't want this to dry out. We just want that gluten to have some time to relax so we can make a nice, beautiful noodle. Like that, into a dark space, give it 30 minutes. All right, we've got ourselves reduced to where we want. Now we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients. Now, because there's a lot of tomato, raw tomato paste, canned tomatoes that are going into this, we need to balance the acid in those tomatoes by adding some sugar. I like to use honey, so I'm gonna take about a tablespoon of this. That's gonna balance that acid. Stir that in, let that work its way in. So we'll let that warm for a second, then we're gonna stir it through. Then we're gonna add a little bit more liquid, and then it's on its final reduction process. Once it's reduced down to that thick, nice sauce that we want, she's done. Okay, next ingredient we're gonna add to this is our whole cream. I like to use as high a fat cream as you can get. This is 33%, pretty standard, pretty common in our grocery stores here. I would use a higher fat content if I had it. A lot of people use condensed milk, other things. Personally, I just like to use real whole cream. So we're gonna use about half of this. Remember, we're reducing still. So stir that in. You can see, a Bolognese sauce is not supposed to typically be a bright red. This still will be a lot redder than it looks right now. It's gonna reduce more, but that's the way I like to make my Bolognese. And it's a knockout. I've never had better personally. All right, well, I'm gonna add a little bit more beef stock. Now this is gonna reduce half. We're gonna bring that down. It's gonna be thick. It's gonna hold a spoon. It's gonna be a beautiful Bolognese sauce. We don't want it runny at all. Kick that heat up, get it back to a boil, let it do its thing. All right, pasta dough's ready. We've rested it. Let's thin this down as much as we possibly can. All right, we're all covered in flour here. As you can see, we've got our sheets ready. I'm gonna use an Alfredo noodle cutter for this. I like my noodles to have a little bit more thickness. I didn't want to go with spaghetti. So the cutter's on there. We're just gonna pass it through nice and even. There we go. Beautiful noodles. Give them a little twist, pile them down, take some flour just so they don't stick while they're sitting. Toss them up. Back under the moisture. We're gonna set up our cheese. We're gonna get it all ready. So once that Bolognese sauce is reduced enough, we're gonna start to put together those beautiful lasagnas. Now I always use a special combination of cheese when I'm doing my lasagna, when I'm doing a chicken parm, pork parm, veal parm. It's pretty much the same combo. I like to use fresh mozzarella cheese. Then I like to use grated provolone cheese and grated Parmesan cheese. We mix the provolone and the Parmesan together, and then we add the mozzarella on its own. But that combination gives you that perfect stretch, the perfect pull, perfect texture, and it got a banging flavor. Okay, here we go. Just use that regular cheese grater side. Now we're just gonna flip it over to the other side. We're gonna use this end for the Parmesan. So we're just gonna mix these two together. The Parmesan will actually help keep the provolone from just gobbing back together, sticking together. Just take that, set it in the dish. All right, we're gonna start getting our lasagna ready. Our Bolognese is almost reduced enough. We're gonna get to that next. We got our fresh sheets of pasta right here. We're gonna lay those down. We're gonna do individual lasagnas. We're just gonna use these dishes here. So we're gonna lay that down on top of the sheets, and then we're just gonna cut around with a knife. That'll be nice and uniform. We're just gonna get these in there. Okay, we're good with that. Now let's check on that Bolognese sauce. All right, guys, we've got the Bolognese sauce pretty much right where we want it. Take a peek at that. Nice and thick. We've reduced it from up here all the way to there, filled it back up, and reduced it back down. I'm telling you guys, the flavor in this is amazing. We are ready to build our little personal lasagnas. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take some of that beautiful Bolognese sauce, and we're gonna cover the bottom of the dish. All right, perfect, we got that down. We're gonna sprinkle a little bit of cheese on this layer. That's that provolone Parmesan mixture that we have. Then we're gonna take a noodle, push it down, get it right in there. Back into that Bolognese sauce. I'm gonna fill that pocket up. Now on this layer, we're gonna take some of that fresh mozzarella, just break it up. All right, we got that ready. We'll lay down another noodle. Repeat process. Okay, here we go. They're ready to go. We're gonna slide these in here. We've got that set at 450. Okay, lasagna is almost done. We're gonna get that fresh pasta into the water for our spaghetti bolognese. We're just gonna cut up some garnish quick. We're gonna get a little bit of sourdough bread ready on the grill. As usual, we're just gonna take this basil, find the nice biggest piece, there it is, and then just lay your leaves in there. This is called a chiffonade. Okay, perfect. We've got a nice little bundle, as you can see. Put it down and roll it up, nice and tight. Lay it down and then just thinly slice it on the bias. There we go. We'll just take it, fluff it up. Perfect. And we've got that garnish. Set that in the corner. Okay, we need Parmesan cheese. Parmesan cheese, a very important garnish when you're doing spaghetti bolognese. The better the Parmesan, the better it's gonna taste. Grate that up. Nice, healthy amount. Perfect. Slide that over. And then bread. Spaghetti bolognese. A nice piece of grilled sourdough. We're just gonna throw this right on the grill with a little bit of salt and pepper, a really nice olive oil. All right, a little bit of salt, some pepper, that in, flip it, repeat. Okay, we're gonna dump our spaghetti in. We're gonna get our pan warming up here. Okay, there it is. We don't want this in there for very long, guys, like 2 minutes. Keep checking it. Homemade pasta is obviously softer than dry pasta as it is. Okay, guys, we got water, we got salt, we put some olive oil on top. That's how I like to do it. We're gonna give this about 2 minutes and check it. Do not overcook this. I've said it in previous episodes, nothing's worse than slimy, soft pasta. So we're gonna make sure we cook this perfectly and get it in some sauce and into the bowl. All right, we got that sourdough bread. Boom, throw it on the grill. Let it get some toast, let it get some grill marks. Perfect. Okay, pasta's pretty much done. We're gonna get a little bit of olive oil in there. Beautiful olive oil here. We've warmed that pan up. Let's just check our pasta real quick. Ooh, it's nice and long. I love it. Needs about a minute. Okay, here we go. Let's hit it with a little bit of this in the middle to start. And over to our pasta. A little extra pasta water won't hurt. Whew. Careful, these are long noodles that I've made. Usually people would cut that in half. I like a nice twirl. I keep them whole. Throw that there. Our sourdough's looking perfect. With that nice toast, that nice grill mark. Set that here. Another scoop, scoop and a half. Parmesan. Just gonna toss this up. Let those noodles get a beautiful coat on them. Okay, we'll start plating here. We'll garnish and finish. I'm gonna take that pasta, get it into that tongs. I'm gonna get a nice twirl on it to the middle of that dish. And just spin that bowl. Give a nice healthy topping right to the middle. Let it spill down. Now we're gonna take this over to put some garnish on it and taste it. Here we go. Okay, here we go. We've got our spaghetti bolognese right here, and we've got our homemade lasagna right here. We're gonna throw some color on this, make that a little bit brighter, appeasing to the eye, get some Parmesan on it for flavor, and we're ready to end this episode with a taste. Fresh basil is so delicious on both of these dishes. I like to get a healthy dose of that Parmesan and that fresh basil on there. A little bit on the lasagna. All right, here we go. We're done. They look beautiful. I can't wait to see what it tastes like. I can already feel we got a nice bite to those noodles. That right there is a special treat. With the reduction of that sauce, you get such a nice beef, bold flavor into that sauce. It's amazing. The texture that you get from that pancetta, we kept it crispy, remember? We did it for a reason, because you can feel it in every bite bursting underneath your teeth, giving you that salty flavor and that nice texture that we're looking for. This right here is bang on. Okay, we got this lasagna sitting here begging for me to dig in. Oh, it's perfect. It's moist. Look at the steam coming out of that, the layers. Now this lasagna is bang on. It's everything that this dish has and then some. I'm telling you guys, that mixture of cheeses that I use, it brings a flavor, it brings a texture, and it brings a beautiful color when cooked properly. Make sure you don't pull it early. Make sure you get that brown crispiness on the top of that cheese. I'm telling you, it makes an absolute difference. Well, once again, we've come to the end of our journey, and thank you guys so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our delicious updates. Join us next Monday. I'm gonna walk you guys through my beef broth. I'm telling you, beef broth is some of the biggest craze right now, and I'm not knocking it. It's beautiful. We're gonna show you guys how it's done properly.